Hi guys, it's Charlotte here and welcome back to another video all about Squarespace SEO. I'm so glad to have you here because we have a really interesting video topic that we're going to be talking about today that was actually inspired by a question that I just received. And basically the question is, does the version of Squarespace that you build your website on have any impact on SEO? Like, is one better or worse? And I thought that this is a really interesting question, both for people who are doing, a DIY of their own Squarespace website, but also I know that a lot of people who watch my channel and consume my content are other web designers and developers and stuff who might be building a Squarespace website for their own clients. So I'm really looking forward to answering this question for you today and helping to clear it up. So I'm going to give you a yes or no answer at the end, but before we do, obviously, I want to make sure that you understand kind of what goes into giving you that yes or no answer. So if you want to, you can just fast forward, but I really encourage you to sit through a couple minutes while I explain this to you because you will learn something for sure. Okay, so let's talk now a little bit about Squarespace SEO and the difference between 7.0 versus 7.1. So 7.0 and 7.1, you might be familiar with this already, but there are basically two different versions of Squarespace that you can build your website on. And you can kind of think of it as same, but different, ultimately you'll end up with a beautiful website either way, but you can build it in two different formats, whether you're using 7.0 or 7.1. And older websites tend to be built on 7.0, and newer ones are often, but not always, built on 7.1. There are a bunch of different reasons why someone might choose to build Squarespace website on 7.0 or 7.1. We're not going to get into that today, but basically what you need to know is that there are two versions of Squarespace. And so the question, if we think about it, the person's asking here, is there a difference, and how is SEO affected whether your website is built on one or the other? And let's talk a little bit about kind of what goes into Squarespace SEO so that you can understand the answer that I'm about to give you in a minute. So if you haven't already, I'm going to link up to a video that I did that's called something like Squarespace SEO 101, and really you should watch that one if you haven't already and then come back and join us. But there's a couple different factors at play here that we need to think about when we're answering this. So the very first thing that I talk about in that video, which again I've linked to up above, is connecting and verifying your website with Google Search Console. And whether you're using Squarespace 7.0 or 7.1, either way, it's going to be the same. So in this really important step that every Squarespace website needs to do, there's not going to be an impact on whichever version of the platform you're using. The second thing that I want to point out is doing the SEO site description. So again, this is a built-in feature that Squarespace has that they have built directly into their platform that you fill out anytime you're working on a website, whether it's your own or your client's, whatever it is. And that SEO site description is a field that you fill out, and that indicates to a search engine such as Google or Yahoo or Bing, well, no shade. But yeah, you basically fill out the SEO site description and give this information to the search engines to tell them exactly what your website is about. And in that field, you're using the keywords that are most strongly associated with your website, the kind of content that you have, the business you have, all of that sort of thing. So again, if we're thinking about that particular built-in SEO feature, it's going to be the same whether you're using 7.0 or 7.1. Along those lines too, we want to think about the SEO descriptions for the various different pages, blog posts, product descriptions, events, albums, or all of that sort of thing. So in these particular, I'll just say SEO page descriptions, but it's the same for blog post, product description, whatever. Again, those are built directly into every single page or blog post, product description, whatevs. And that's going to be the same whether you're using 7.0 or 7.1. The functionality doesn't change. It's just kind of, and I don't even think there's really a change in how you access that particular built-in SEO field. So again, in either way here on those three things, you're going to be completely fine, whichever platform or whichever version of the platform that you happen to be using. Okay, so now that we've gotten those key built-in things out of the way, let's move on and talk about some more SEO factors, specifically as they relate to your Squarespace website. So another thing that people often want to think about is the various on-site SEO factors. And I have another video, which I'm going to link to up above here, where I talk all about on-site SEO factors. But these on-site SEO factors are going to be applied to any pages that you have on your website, any blog posts, products that you have if you have an e-commerce store, portfolios, maybe if you have a lot of photography galleries, things like that. But some of the on-site SEO factors we might be thinking about could be things like page titles or the headers that you use and the hierarchy of those headers. So H1, 2, 3, things like that. The images that you're uploading onto the pages and, or posts, products, whatever it is, and the corresponding image like formatting and titles, like basically the alt text that goes along with each one of those images. We're talking about the links that you have on the page, whether it's an internal link to somewhere else on your website, an external link, which is when the link goes from your website to another different website. That's an external link. And then a bunch of other ones too, like the URL structure, a bunch of different on-site SEO factors. But basically, the thing that you want to think about here is that whether you're building the page on 7.0 or 7.1, it's going to be the same because this functionality is inherently the same. Doesn't matter which platform you're using, right? Like whether you're using 7.0 or 7.1, you still set a page title for each page that you have, or you still use headers if you're doing particular sections on a page or in a blog post, a product description, whatever. Same thing with images. The images are all going to be uploaded to the particular page. You're going to name them correctly, and that functionality doesn't change whether you're using 7.0 or 7.1. So again, here, there's not any difference that happens in the platform version that you're using. Then let's talk now, moving to another point as well that I want to talk about that kind of goes along with it. And this is the impact of SEO on the website content that you have, okay? And website content can mean a lot of different things, right? So we think of a website content as obviously being the main pages that you have on the website. So like your homepage, your about page, your services page, like contact, all those sorts of things. But it also extends to things like the blog section, the blog posts that you have, or any products that you have set up in your e-commerce store, any events that maybe you have as part of your online business, anything like that. All of those different things are content. And thinking about how the content of your website works for SEO, we need to think back about like the functionality of search engines, right? So a search engine is going to arrive on your website, land somewhere on it, and then crawl and index all of the content that it sees. And it's going through and looking for, seeing contextually what is your website and the specific page or blog post or product, whatever, what is it about? So if we're thinking about it that way, again, let's go back to 7.0 versus 7.1, there's not going to be a change here because Google is still going to be interacting with your website the same way, whether it's built on 7.0 or 7.1, it doesn't matter. So the thing to keep in mind is that whether you're building whether you're building your website on 7.0 or 7.1, the content itself, you still want to stick to the main principles to make sure that it's SEO rich, using all the keywords, that it's correctly formatted, and using all of the appropriate SEO or on-site SEO factors and things like that. And then the last point that I want to talk about here to see how this involves in the particular question is about backlinks. So again, backlinks are all about anytime another website links to your site. This could be for a variety of different reasons. It could be maybe you got a media mention on another site. Maybe you have written a blog post, a guest blog post or something. Maybe you were involved in an interview, a feature, like whatever it is, whatever reason someone might link from another website to your website, that is a backlink. And it's basically like referral traffic, right? And one of the reasons why this is important for SEO is that Google is looking to see what kind of domain authority you have, right? So if they see that your particular website has more links from other websites, they're going to be like, wow, this site is more legit than a website that doesn't have any other links from different websites. So again, here, the thing is that anytime another website is linking to your website, it's not affected whether you're using 7.0 or 7.1. Like ultimately, they're just going to be putting the link in place, and there's no like, oh, ding, 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 it's 7.0, or no, it's 7.1, right? So here in Google's eyes, when they see and follow through this backlink that's coming from your website, they're basically being like, okay, this is a good sign, and they don't care whether or not the site is built on 7.0 or 7.1. So that's something to keep in mind there. So with all of those pointers that we've covered, you probably now want to know the simple answer, yes or no. Is SEO affected by Squarespace 7.0 versus 7.1? And the answer to that is no, it's not affected. It's pretty much like I said before, same, but different. It does not matter if you've built your website on 7.0 or 7.1, you can still have amazing SEO results and get your website in front of your ideal audience online. Remember, it's not necessarily about like what you have, it's how you use it. So if you want to learn more about Squarespace SEO, I have tons more content here on my YouTube channel. So you can, just go back to the main page of the channel and flip through all the related videos, things like that. But I also encourage you to go over to my website, which is charlotteohara.ca. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I've linked to it down below. I have tons of free resources, blog post content, tutorials, trainings, like so much content about Squarespace SEO. But if you haven't already, take a look at the freebie that is the Squarespace SEO checklist, because that is an amazing spot to make sure that you get an introduction to this topic, you have all of your boxes checked, and dot the I's, cross the T's when it comes to Squarespace SEO. But take a look at all of the resources I have on my website, here on my YouTube channel. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, you can like it, you can leave me a comment down below, you can even subscribe to the channel, because I have lots more really good Squarespace SEO content coming your way. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you, and yeah, let me know what you thought about it, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye, see you.